Hello again, everyone on YouTube. Welcome back to the Elusive Exclusive Book Society.
The new and improved.
The new and improved, exactly. For some reason, somehow, things got better.
They got a little classier in here.
Yeah, somehow. I am Tim from Secret Fire Books, and I'm joined as always with our co-host, Nick from the Book Graveyard. Have with us a returning guest, one Grammaticus Books, and for the first time ever on this channel, at least, we've streamed with him a few times before, but the first time on this channel, Virgil from Literally Books.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
We're excited to have you, dude.
Right on.
I tried so hard to get you and Chris on the same live stream, and he was like, "Nah, I'm busy then." I'm like, "Oh."
He was freaking out. He's like, I have so much to read.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, I'm going to do it.
Of course. If you guys may have noticed, but one Mr. Jacob will not be joining us for now. He's running just a tad late. Had some family stuff to attend to, but he will be joining us. Just hope that he shows up in the next couple minutes. I don't know. We might have to do this whole thing without him. But this time around, we will be covering a book that I chose for the Elusive Exclusive Book Society, which is The Dancer from Atlantis by Mr. Poul Anderson. This was a science fiction novel from 1971. And I had such aspirations, or such expectations for this. And without getting too far into the weeds, let me just point out that this might be the biggest waste of a Frank Frazetta cover I've read in a long time.
That's why they put it on there twice.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, we have to sell this. Give them double Frazetta. It's the same picture, but I know I found that funny. I never understand why is it that they always, when they give like hardcover books their dust jackets, they don't have like some of them do, but most of them don't have like the text or the summary or anything on the back. Like you have to look inside the page flap for the blurbs. That always annoys me for some reason.
I don't know. Yeah, because this is a sci-fi book club print, isn't it? And
yeah,
it is. I don't know why they didn't put an author picture on the back. They were like, don't they have a picture of Poul Anderson? Like we have like, we can't afford the Poul Anderson picture. Just put the Frazetta.
Got the double butt shot.
Same one.
Yep.
I think we all got that copy. Nick, you got this copy too, don't you?
I do, yeah. Actually,
not surprising that there's a lot of these floating around.
From Little Spaces.
I was gonna say, I've seen tons of these at used bookstores. I've only seen a few like paperback copies, and I don't know what the deal is with that.
I'd never seen one ever until like 2 weeks before this video was going to go up, and then I was walking through a half-price bookstore. Here it was. It was like fate. It was destiny. It knew that you were picking this.
Planted.
All right, who we got in the chat so far? We got Chris from Little Spaces. What's up, man? Frazetta cover, yes, indeed.
Yes.
You sent it to me.
Best, I will say, but it's
Chris. You sent it to me. You had it first. You're asking.
Get this out of here. I'm not reading it.
What are you talking about, Chris? Oh gosh, we got Tau Zero in the chat. What's up, man?
What's up?
Oh, and of course, the outlaw himself, Mr. Levi Wallace. Always knew you guys would kick Jake out of the group, but I thought you'd at least replace him with Bad Taste Brian.
It's Brian with a Y, everyone.
Oh, that's right. Levi
he cries about it. He cries about it nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't tell anyone.
I know. Poor Brian. In his multiple hotel rooms.
Yeah, we were putting something together the other day, and I had his name, and he's like, "It's with a Y." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
He told me, and I quote, "Only losers spell Brian with an I." And I was like, okay.
I wonder if he replaces the I's and everything with a Y. He just
That's probably it. That's probably it. What else we got? We got Check Your Shelf. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Geeks Love Dogs, Book Dragons. What's up? Aya. And of course, Goblin Guy Gaxanor.
Goblin. Yeah.
Oh, there he is. We were just talking about him. Speak the devil, he shall appear.
He's here.
What's up, Ryan? All right, so Dancer from Atlantis. I guess we're really going to have to start this off without Jacob. Oh, well. Oh, well. So,
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear what this book is about.
Well, I'm glad you asked that because I'm about to give you the summary. So, Dancer from Atlantis by Poul Anderson. As I said, it's written in 1971. It is a time travel science fiction novel. We start off with a gentleman by the name of, oh gosh, I forgot this character's main name. I'm already gonna have to look through my notes.
Duncan Reed. Duncan Reed.
Yes, thank you, Duncan Reed. He's an architect, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I thought I got that. He's an architect from the 1970s. And we start off with him on a pleasure cruise with his wife. They're taking a vacation on this pleasure cruise bound for Japan. And they seem to have some like arguments / trouble in paradise going on, I guess. And he takes a breather, takes a walk out on the ship's deck. And then all of a sudden, he's just swept up in this vortex, it says. And we cut from him, and we go hundreds and hundreds of years into the past, and we meet a new character named Oleg, who is a medieval Russian from 1050 AD. So this Russian not Viking, but like I guess this warlord crusader type. He's a very like pious Catholic. He's always crossing himself, always saying prayers. And he too gets sucked up in this vortex. And then we jump back another few hundred years, around 300 AD, where we meet Ulden, who is this wandering steppe horseman. He's a Hun from the steppes out in the Near East, and he's leading his family across this big grassy plain when he too is swept up in this vortex. And then yet again, we jump to another time period where we meet a woman named Irissa, who is this wise woman living on and I can't remember where she's living at the time. I want to say it's not in Greece, is it, at this point?
I don't remember.
Because I don't remember, because it's very vague, and there's a reason why it's very vague. But she is this wise woman, sort of like the not really a priestess, but kind of like the spiritual woman of this society that she and her husband have moved into after some kind of tragic event has befallen them. And while she is paying homage to this shrine in the wilderness, she is also swept up by the vortex. And so now all four of these characters are swept up in a time vortex that takes them to 1400 BC. We eventually learn this later, but it's 1400 BC, I believe, on the shores of Egypt, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, Ben saying yes. I'm going to trust Grammaticus. He's saying it's Egypt, so we're going to go with Egypt.
No one else is going to ever call us on this.
Yeah. They wind up on the shores of Egypt. There's just nothing but desert to one side of them, ocean to the other side of them, and there's a time machine in front of them. And this they keep calling him the wizard, even though he's not a wizard. But this old guy stumbles out of the time machine, fatally wounded, keels over, and before he dies, he entrusts them with these seemingly magical helmets that allow them to learn each other's languages so they can now communicate. And so they find out that this old man is a time traveler from the distant future. He and his friend have gone back in time as a sort of anthropological expedition. And something went wrong with their time machine, and it has now caused this time vortex that has sucked up these characters from these different time periods and dumped them in 1400 BC in Egypt. And so now, with nothing else but their own whatever skills they bring to the table, whatever knowledge they have, they must now work together to find a way to get back home from this time in the past. Little do they know that this is going to be tied into the fate of Atlantis, which, surprise, surprise, turns out to be where Irissa, this wise woman, is from. She is, in fact, the titular Dancer from Atlantis. So, guys, and I feel like I'm going to regret asking this, what were your first impressions of Dancer from Atlantis? Virgil, you're our new special guest, so I'll let you go first.
Okay. So So I guess like getting up into the point where we like meet our like we're crashed in the distant past and everything. I thought, okay, having read some other Poul Anderson before, I was like, okay, this could be good. This could be interesting. Okay, we've got a guy who's like a Hun basically. The other guy is, I always got the impression he was a Viking, but I guess he was just sort of a medieval warrior from Russia. I'm like, okay, these two guys, I'm like, certainly they're going to come into play or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm like cautiously optimistic, but it just seemed like it took us a while to get there. And there was also a little confusion for me because the breaks from one character to the next we pick up was always sort of like, wait a minute, what just happened? Oh, okay, we're changing. Okay, somebody new. So that took a little bit, and so I was like cautiously optimistic. I was just that's basically where I was. That's where I was. It was just kind of like, well, maybe it'd be good. Nothing's happened yet, but maybe. So that's my first impression. The word maybe is hinting at something, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. I feel like maybe was on a lot of our minds. Just to give you guys a heads up, Jake says he'll probably be here in half an hour. So,
okay.
All right. We'll go clockwise. Nick, what were your first impressions of this book?
Well, I didn't read the synopsis on the inside cover of my hardcover. Okay. So I didn't know that it was 1400. And I was like to point out that when you started throwing out all those dates, it never says it.
Yeah,
it never says
yes,
what
I should point out, yes.
Because I was Googling it to figure out where they were from. Very inconvenient. Yeah. Storytelling wise.
Yeah.
I
will admit I did read the inside flap before I read. So yes.
And I never figured out what time they were in. Ever. So the first impression, when they get sucked up, I was kind of like, I don't know. I was confused. Like you said, you're just like, and the vortex takes them. You're just like, I was in metaphor or something.
Jim from Mystery Man.
Hey, Jim.
And then they meet each other, and I don't know. I mean, it was like there was possibilities. And I was like, oh, what's this book going to be about? They travel to time. Why are all these different characters? Why these specific people are picked up? I mean, obviously, in the story world, it was random, but you figured writing the book, it would be on purpose.
Yeah, I'm not sure we got that in the end, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
So that's
Ben,
what I got for the beginning.
Yeah, Ben, what you got, man? What were your first impressions of Dancer from Atlantis?
They were similar. Although I guess my first impressions when I saw the Frazetta cover. And now I'm going to say something. I think this is one of the worst Frazetta covers that I've ever seen. She's not proportioned well. She looks like she's wearing a diaper. And I was just like, man, I don't know if I
it kind of does, doesn't it?
It does. And I don't know if I want that on the cover of my book or not, even if it is Frank. And Frank did a second take of that. I think Frank didn't like it either because he repainted it a couple of years later, and the repainting he did of it is much better. But I had a similar impression to you guys. I started reading it, and I was actually really into it at first, which is a big hint there. And one of the reasons is because I was reading Herodotus at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Just by sheer coincidence. And this ties into so much of what Herodotus is talking about. So I was really into it. I was like, man, his writing style was great. I mean, he can really put you there and put you in the scene. And the other work by Poul Anderson that I read was The Broken Sword, which is one of the best dark fantasy novels ever written. I mean, that book is fantastic. So I had high hopes, and it was starting off strong. I mean, he was really putting you back in 1400 BC. It was obvious he'd really done his research on ancient history. A lot of these guys, L. Sprague de Camp, Lynn Carter, Poul Anderson, the others, were huge ancient history buffs. I mean, it really comes through in their books. So I was on board at first. And that's where I'll leave it.
Yeah. By the way, Chris points out he's also had this book on his shelf, and he gave it to Nick, so we have to read it. And you know what? That might have been a smart move, Chris. Might have been a smart move. So you guys kind of echoed my sentiments for the most part. What's up? Eric Wag's here. What's up, Eric Wag?
Hey, Wag.
Yeah. So I had read two other Poul Anderson books before going into this. And by the way, we're all going to say his name differently. I've just consigned myself to the fact that we're all going to pronounce his name differently because I say Paul because at first I thought it was Paul, and I didn't notice until like after I read the first book from him that it was an O instead of an A. I've heard people say Pool. I've heard people say Powell. I don't care anymore. We're just going to all say it differently. But I'd read two of his books before. I'd read High Crusade and Three Hearts and Three Lions, and both of those books I love dearly. I think they're fantastic. 5 out of 5 star reads for me. And so I had a lot of anticipation going into this book. And again, like you said, Ben, he's a great writer. The way his writing style conveys that he knows so much about what he's talking about, and that he cares about, structuring this plot. I actually watched an interview of Poul Anderson earlier today, where he's saying that like he can't differentiate stories about characters from stories about plot because it's all the same to him. He has to have strong characters whose motivations are interweaved into these plots, and like he's always thinking about how his characters move the story forward. And I always think he has a good grasp on that, because in High Crusade, even though it's only like 170 pages long, we have one of the coolest character arcs ever, where we have this crusader who like starts off as kind of a jerk, but then eventually he becomes this really redeemable figure. And I love that story so much. But
I like how you give us this crappy book and then tell me about a cool book that he wrote.
I know. I'm sorry. I thought this was going to be a good one. I'm like, clearly he'll knock this out of the park again. But yeah, maybe we'll just do High Crusade next time to make up for this. I don't know. But yeah, going into it, I could see that he obviously cared a lot about the historical periods he was talking about. He cared about the mythology behind it. This story blends some like classical mythology into this. Obviously we're talking about Atlantis. We have elements of, the Cretan bull, the Minotaur, the labyrinth, stuff like that. One of the main, I guess we can call him the main antagonist, is Prince Theseus, who's a major historical, or not historical, but mythological figure in the classical Greek mythology. So he cares a lot about this, but I feel like he's stumbling with all of these different things that he's trying to write into this story. He wants to have a bunch of different characters time traveling to different periods. He wants to have these different myths that interweave with each other, and he wants to describe them in like more of a grounded, realistic way and tell you where these myths came from originally. He's trying to like give examples of real world history that point back to these myths. And I just think he didn't succeed in pulling any of them off. And it was funny because I got so fed up with this book at about 50 pages in. I just stopped and I read an edge Western, which is like one of the dumbest things in my collection. I was like, I have to read something stupid and violent because there's no action in this book. It's so like cerebral and historical. And so I read an edge Western, finished it in a day, read another 20 or 30 pages. I had to stop, and I read the first half of a Lee Brackett novel. And that I had to cleanse my brain going in and out of this book. But yeah, needless to say, I was let down.
It was difficult.
Yeah.
It was confusing.
I had to leverage myself to finish it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to complain, Virgil. Go ahead.
To me, now I'm going to say this. When I read this book, one other thing came to mind when I was reading this, and that was another book that Chris and I read with Brian. And that was this book. It was just like the guys, because it was just like spinning wheels for so much time. It's like you had all this great setup, but it just wasn't. It was so underutilized. It was like, I thought the language transferring helmets were really a neat idea that just kind of get like repressed. And then I thought maybe this dynamic between these different characters and these different timelines would like, there'd be like some really interesting things would happen. And there was some stuff happening, but it was like off camera stuff, like, and like in the background, like, oh, this guy's building ships and stuff, like, oh, that's cool. we don't get to see that. We're not looking at that right now. We're over here.
We get to see that in the second to last chapter.
Right. Yeah. That's the other thing. We all have heard the phrase, this meeting should have been a memo. Like, this book should have been a short story. Like, that's what I feel like. It's like, it would have been sharper. It needed that extra hit, and it was too long. But the detail was cool, but
I dug it for a little longer. I think, Tim, you said you started checking out about page 50. I got to about page 100 before I started checking out.
Okay.
And it just, I really like this period of history. And I thought he sort of really nailed it in terms of being able to put you there with his writing and the amount of research he had. And he's got this perfect blending of, the historical facts and all the myths along with his writing style to get you there. But then, it just, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And he keeps going back to his wife, Pam, left back on the ship. And I started to think that this was his divorce novel. And so much, I went out and I looked up the name of his wife in real life to make sure he hadn't stuck his wife into the book as why he was leaving her, because she was so uninteresting to him. It turns out it's not his real life in life. His wife's name's Karen. But that's where I thought this thing was going. I thought this was his divorce therapy, was writing this book. Is what I thought he was doing. By page 100, that's all that's going on, is him and his wife and this the two Arissas that you've got, the young Arissa and the old Arissa. He's looking for this exciting, alternate to his real life wife.
I can't believe I forgot to talk about that, by the way. Like, this is like an integral part of the story. So this character Arissa, the Dancer from Atlantis, this sort of priestess character from circa 1400 BC. As soon as she meets our main character, Duncan Reed, she's like hugging him and kissing him, and she keeps calling him my God, my God. And it's like, okay, who is this lady? And we eventually find out that when she was younger, she met him at some point, and they became a thing, got involved, and now she's in love with him. At some point, he left her. We eventually find out why the reason is. And then she, through a mysterious chain of events that she's not really clear on because she has some memory loss going on at some point, she winds up away from Atlantis and gets married to this other guy, and they raise a family together. Supposedly she has her first son is Duncan Reed's son, and she believes him to be this god or demigod who visited her and impregnated her with a demigod who will, I don't know. We don't really get into a lot of what the whole point of that was, except for the fact that, like you said, Ben, our main character Duncan, while he's having this fling with this Atlantean woman, he keeps thinking about his wife over and over again. And so we keep getting these asides where he's like, oh, I wonder, he's going on these adventures where he's like, oh, I wonder what Pamela would think of this. Or he sees something, he's like, oh, what am I going to tell Pam when I get back home? All the while he's sneaking off with not one, but two versions, because he meets the younger version of this girl, Arissa, when they go back in the past. And he's sleeping with both of them. So
he's 40. She's 17.
Yes, that's
she's 17. I thought she was 16, but maybe
it's just so weird. And I'm like, I had the same kind of idea you had, Ben. I was like, is Poul Anderson trying to like give us an idea of something that's going on in his personal life? Is this like part of his psyche he's putting down in his book? But
yeah, what if his wife? What was his wife's review of this book?
Right, it's his fantasy. 1971.
So would you say the plot of this book is to save Atlantis?
I mean,
what's the point? What was the point of any of it? So he meets this Arissa, the grown-up Arissa, and then they're like, oh, we got to go save Atlantis, but they know that she's from Atlantis. Mm-hmm. You obviously already did this. She already knows who you are. Mm-hmm. So there's no point in even trying to save Atlantis. I mean, you've already done it. You know it's going to work because there she is. Mm-hmm. So is the point them trying to get back?
I mean, I don't think they're really. I think the point for the impression that I got was that Poul Anderson was writing a book that he just wanted to go back and write about ancient Atlantis and Crete and the myth of Theseus slaying the Minotaur and then put his spin on it. But then he failed to make a point, like you bring up, Nick. I mean, he gets you there, but then he forgot that you need something has to happen in the book. And so he puts you there, but then he doesn't make a point. I mean, not really, I mean, like nothing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I can definitely see him, just trying to thinking I want to write about this time period, and then just trying to construct a plot around that. But again, because this book was not like super late into his career, but it's one of his later science fiction novels. And so I think he had really established himself as a science fiction author at that point. So maybe this was just like, he wanted to write a story about like classical mythology, but he couldn't think of any other like way to sell it to his fans. So he's like, it's a time travel story. So yeah.
When I got towards, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ben.
I was just gonna say, I thought you said it perfectly there, Tim. It's like he came up with this, hey, I want to write about ancient Greek mythology, and then the plot was just tacked on afterwards, such as there was. I think that's a perfect summary.
Towards the end, I was like, I bet if Poul Anderson hadn't written this and someone else did, and they handed it in to publish it, they'd be like, we don't want this.
Yeah.
It was his name,
Yeah, it's very possible.
I was very hopeful, or at least in my head, I thought it would have been a cool idea if we would have seen more interaction between the older Arissa and the younger Arissa. Like maybe they would fight over the main characters. Yeah. That could be kind of like, it could be like a weird thing that could happen. Like, I don't know if that's what I want to see, but it would be interesting. But,
now Virgil's fantasies are coming out.
I'm just like, maybe this would be cool. No, it didn't happen. It was just like all these like, this could be cool. Oh, we didn't get that. No, we didn't get that either. I mean, and that is a good point, because the writing is good. He does have there's an unusual sort of like dated style that he's writing with here. That sometimes is a little awkward, but overall the writing is really good. It's just that like, and it's like you said, there's lots of really interesting like historical tidbits, and you get a really good picture of like what it would be like. But as far as like, like as a narrative, it's like there's not much. It's mostly just him saying, well, I could sleep with this woman because my wife's like thousands of years in the future, so it's okay. Like, different zip code, I guess. It's like, it's kind of like that kind of a thing. And then it's like, oh, then it's like this whole like police don't stand so close to me thing going on with the younger Arissa. He's like, oh, I can't. No, I don't know. And it's like, I don't know. It's not working, pal.
I like when we're already towards the end and we're already talking about it, but when the older one catches up to him on the island, and then he's just like, yeah. Where's the 17-year-old version?
No, okay. So I actually I bookmarked a passage. It happens a tiny bit earlier than when you're saying, Nick, but it wraps up that like mentality. Oh, where is it? So yeah, their one like sailor, the one Greek sailor who's been like ferrying them back and forth to the islands and stuff. So our party of time travelers splits up at one point. We have Oleg the Russian warrior. He's building ships for the Greeks for some reason, because he likes ships, and
they think they're going to be stuck there.
Right, they think they're going to be stuck on the island, so they want to build.
So they're like, oh, let's just get in, and we're going to be rich with our future knowledge.
I think there was something too, like if they knew that they might get rescued if they build something out of time, like if it didn't make sense.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, if it doesn't make sense, then the time travelers, like associates or other people from his time, would notice it and be like, oh, hey, wait, something's going on over here. We need to do something.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Virgil, because I totally forgot about that. I totally forgot that's why they were trying. Yeah, okay, you're right. But so anyway, because they're split up and like doing all these different things on the different islands in the Aegean Sea, at one point Duncan is separated from this woman, from Arissa, that he's had this weird time travel tryst with, and so while he's away, their sailor friend who's been ferrying them back and forth catches up to him, and he's talking about this woman Arissa, and he tells her, She's not doing badly either. Moped a lot at first, but lately, do you remember Penelios? He's been giving her what she needs. You don't mind, do you? And he says, no, Reed said faintly. Old Orissa has been through many hands. It was the maiden he hoped to save.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's very
like the most dirtbag thing I've ever seen Poul Anderson write. And that this is a guy who wrote the main character from 3 Hearts and 3 Lions, who is a dirtbag, by the way. So yeah, that I think sums up the mentality of our main character, where he's just like, yeah, I gotta save the young pretty version, all the while thinking, yeah, I'll get back to my wife at some point.
Yeah, she'll never know. Is what I think.
Oh, look at these textiles. Pamela would love these.
Yeah,
before we met, honey.
Yeah, exactly.
Right before we met, it was thousands of years ago. Ancient history.
It was thousands of years ago, babe. She means nothing to me. Oh, it's so messed up.
That would have been a better title for this book, Ancient History. That's what he said. That's the last line that he tells his wife or something. He's like, oh, I had a relationship. Ancient History.
Tell your FBI, open up. It's messed up, man.
The older Orissa is the boss. She's the one who gets stuff done.
Yeah, so
he saves his ass. She's his age.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It makes more sense then. And she starts off being a really interesting character, I thought, because she has this past as like a priestess. He tries to like do some interesting things with like classical mythology, saying how there was no Minotaur in ancient Greece or ancient Crete. The labyrinth is actually just what they call, the palace where the king, I think they call him the Minos, whatever. That's the name of the king in this era, and their holy symbol is the bull. Their god takes the form of a bull at some point, and so all these young priestesses, they perform these ceremonial dances with these bulls. And so when she was younger, she was one of these bull dancers, the Dancer from Atlantis. And so as she grows up, as these events, after these events have taken place, the older Orissa, who we eventually get to meet up with, oh, here we go. He's finally here.
Yeah. Everything is bad. This book freaking sucks.
We were just talking about how much we loved it.
No, you weren't.
We were getting into a deep character dive here.
You guys know those airplane rides from hell?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just had one.
Oh, man.
Hi, everybody. Hello, everyone in the chat and everything. I wanted to jump out of the airplane.
Were you reading this book on the airplane?
No, I read it on the trip down.
Okay.
Yeah, this was fashionably late. Yeah, I literally just walked in the door. The entire family is airsick. I'm extremely nauseous. If I start blowing chunks here, screen grab it because it's gonna be gold.
Once again on my channel.
Shut your mouth. You did too notice it, Brian.
Yeah, what the heck, dude?
Yeah,
we totally didn't make a joke about that at the beginning of the live stream.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see y'all again.
Hey. Hold on. Jake, what's the plot of this book?
The plot of this book is Poul Anderson loves history and loves studying things, and he's going to show off how much he knows.
Right.
He's got to tell a story. I don't know. That's it.
DB Cooper this book.
Yeah. This plot sucked. And then he wanted to go to let's suck people from all over time and do nothing with them or do anything interesting. Let's have a couple interesting characters and not say anything interesting about them or develop these characters. Then let's have a creepy triune love triangle with an underage version of the girl he's cheating on his current wife with, but it all ended up being okay in the end.
This is amazing. This is exactly everything we
Why did I even try to summarize anything? Jake's just gonna come in all jet lag and take this over.
Oh, I'm so sick. Oh. So continue on with your conversation. I'll catch up.
Well, the funny thing is that I was just talking about how the character Orissa, this dancer from Atlantis, could have been this really interesting character. Nick pointed out that the older version of her, is constantly getting stuff done, constantly like trying to push the plot forward. The younger version of her is pretty much useless, and yeah, she's just there for our main character to ogle and make out with, and
she's convinced he's a god for reasons.
Yeah, that is the one thing. So even though she is trying so hard to push this plot forward, there's still that weird relationship between her and this main character where she believes he's a god. For some reason, he never really does anything godlike except for the fact that he knows things are about to happen.
He knows the future, yeah. Because he knows that Atlantis is going down.
Yeah, that's the only thing that like is remotely supernatural about this man.
When they first started talking about Atlantis, I thought it was going to be like they're going to go there. It's going to be this cool, crazy, mystical land, and it would be interesting. But there's just another island off of Greece.
Well, so that's the thing.
They got long heads. That was like the coolest thing about it. What is the word? Did anyone write down the word?
Cephalic. I think it's cephalic or something along those lines.
Yeah.
The study of human skulls.
Yeah.
I stopped and looked it up. I was like, okay, what's that? I gotta know.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Nick, because I was just about to mention one of the only notes I wrote here was that Poul Anderson, he tries to like take these myths and give them a historical context, kind of bring them down to earth. But in doing so, he just makes them really boring. So it's like there was no Minotaur in the labyrinth. The labyrinth is a palace. The Minotaur is actually the Minos, the king of this palace, this island of Atlantis. He even kind of like demystifies the classical Greek pantheon, where someone swears by Aphrodite, and one of the ancient Cretans is like, oh, what, that gross, ugly she-bull who's always in heat or whatever, and it's like, so there's not even like this romanticized view of the gods in this version of his history. So I don't know. It was just weird. He's a science fiction fantasy writer, but he's just like demystifying everything and making it so much more boring. Oh, I think that might be what disappointed me most about this book, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about that history or that era, you're completely lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be a tough read. I will say, going back to Orissa, I did think when she uses hypnotism at some point in the book, I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, ooh, this could be really cool. She's like doing some like manipulative stuff, which I thought was awesome. And it was just, again, kind of like, well, we're not going to spend a lot of time. We're just going to leave her over here. And we're going to go to, it's like, okay, that was cool when it happened.
Yeah.
It's like there was so much meat left on the bone. He did such a great job with the setup. He's got, this Russian trader from the 1000s. He's got a Hun cavalryman. He's got, the architect from America, and he's got the dual competing love interest there in Atlantis and Crete and everything. And you throw in Theseus, and then nothing happens. I mean, he had all the pieces there to make a good book, and then just sort of dropped the ball. I mean, that was the most disappointing thing on it.
Absolutely.
There isn't even any action until the very end.
Yeah, and then he cuts that off.
He cuts it off, and half it happens off screen.
Yeah.
Clearly, this cool Hun has been killing people.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing.
You got the final battles coming down, and then all of a sudden it just goes black. And then,
literally. He just cuts
this was so bad.
And it sucks because Poul Anderson writes good action story, or like good action scenes. Jake, you've read High Crusade. Those action scenes are amazing.
They're great.
Yeah.
And so are the characters are great.
Yeah.
There's no characters in here.
The one we focus on the most is Duncan Reed, and he sucks.
Yeah. All I could imagine was a 40-year-old guy who's like cutting his grass with like the belly like a little belly and a dad hat.
You guys like how
Snap back.
White Reeboks.
Yeah, dude.
New Balance, not Reeboks, New
New
Balance.
Balance, right? Sorry.
You guys like how he developed a stutter?
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
My favorite thing about him is how he's an architect, right? And then he busts down all the physics of how the time machine collapsed before the alien even comes out. He's like, "Oh, this is what must have happened." It's like, you got to be kidding me, man.
I do remember some of that. It was like, this guy, what is going on with this guy? And it seemed like he had like all this. Also, he's an architect, and he had like all this ancient history knowledge, like tons of it. Like he knew it. He's like, he knew this, and like, my goodness, this man is very well read in ancient history.
Yeah,
he minored in that, I guess.
Yeah, they did say that. Yeah, he just happened to minor in ancient Greek history and time travel.
I'm assuming that's when Anderson got to that point in the story. He's like, my character seems to know a lot about ancient history, and he minored in ancient histories and whatnot. Yeah, whatever. Sure, why not? Yeah, this was the sloppiest Poul Anderson that I've read. But at the same time, we keep saying he's a good writer. Like, he can frame things up really well. This story has a good premise. It just, the execution is awful.
Yeah, it was.
Was there anything like after we like really got into the plot? Was there anything like any scene, any line, anything where you were like, okay, this is genuinely good. Like I'm really enjoying this specific thing.
I liked when she said that she was a dancer, and then the one guy was like, looked at her caboose, and he's like, "Oh yeah, she was definitely a dancer. Look at that caboose."
That is the part you would like.
It matches the cover at least.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, it does.
That she's yep. That's a dancer's booty. Yeah. Yeah. She's got upper butt too. It's not just the normal butt. Look at that cover again, yeah.
I don't know. For the 5 seconds that they had the boats and they were battling was cool.
Seconds.
Yeah.
For 3 pages.
Yeah.
There was one line that I liked, and it's they're tackling some problem, and Oleg, the Russian who's heavily Catholic Christian or Greek Orthodox Christian, and it starts I swear by all the saints, and I think it's Duncan comes back and says, "Your saints haven't even been born yet."
Yes,
because I thought that was a good line. I thought that was a decent line.
That was, and it even describes him being like he's stunned, like, "Oh my gosh, you're right."
Look at Luminal Spaces chat.
What? Oh gosh, that's good. That's good, Chris. That's good. And why weren't you on stream with us again, Chris?
He didn't want to read this. He knew.
Yeah, there we go. That's
You
all.
could have taken my spot for this one.
Oh no, Jake, you're needed here.
This, I'm not sure what all you guys covered, and I did have some notes. They're in my luggage. I literally just ran to the house and then parked the car and ran to the house. I can't be bothered to get them. But this was this like the horniest Poul Anderson too? Because, but not
3 Lions gets a little bit like that, but it's not too bad.
It's not super graphic, but it's just like the sheer quantity of it.
Right,
it's like
yeah.
I felt bad because I was cheating on my Atlantean girlfriend with her younger self, but I'm also cheating on my wife. But then that's okay, because in the meantime, to keep herself occupied, she was cheating on me with the Hun, because Mongolians do as they do. And it's like, I think everybody in this book was sleeping with each other constantly.
It's at least implied that, yeah.
And was the moral of it to like, I'm back, and now my middle-aged wife, I'm gonna give it to her good now because this is adventure.
Oh.
Kind of got it out of his system, and now he can settle back down with his wife, rekindle the marriage.
Can you really cheat on your wife when she hasn't been born yet?
Right.
That seems to be the reason.
You might get a pass on that one.
That seems to be the reasoning. It's so weird. But yeah, I know that we're like jumping. This is literally like the last page of the book, and I know I'm jumping ahead to there. But it literally is like he goes out onto the deck of the ship to take a break after they've just, failed to, have a romantic moment in their cabin. Comes back, at least what she thinks to be, 20, 25 minutes later. He's completely different, wearing completely different clothes. He's skinnier. He has a beard. And then he just, I want to make my woman happy. Cut to black. The end. So
I like too that he explained why his clothes were different because he saw some other guy's jacket. He's like, "Oh, let's switch jackets."
Yeah, that was
Always Sunny when he goes in the bathroom and he's like, "Guy wouldn't trade shirts with me. Like, give me your shirt, bro." And he would. I was just picturing that. I was like, "You just swapped jackets with some guy because you thought it was cool." Like, what? What kind of explanation is that?
I think it matches the whole theme of the book. They land and they can't speak different languages. Oh, we got magic helmet. This is the only magic we got here. We got these magic helmets so we can all talk.
This book sucked. It's so bad.
I thought the idea that you only wanted to do the language transfer one direction, like you didn't want to go the other direction, was that was kind of a cool thing. But it doesn't come up again.
No.
Like, that was a cool idea. Just gonna put that over there. Not gonna use that again.
There's never any complications with that. They wear the helmets. They learn each other's languages. Again, it has to be like a one-way kind of thing where you have to start with the earliest version or the earliest language there is, and then like teach it forward. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, there's never any complications with that. So even the science fiction elements that he's introducing in this story are just like super hand wavy. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Ancient history.
That was the most convenient thing I've ever read in a book.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when they first got there and they're like all speaking different languages and they were trying to communicate, and I was like, if this book is just this whole thing where they're miming stuff to each other, I'm gonna be so mad. And then they were like, here's these helmets, now we can talk. And I was still mad.
You're like, wait a minute.
I'm like, that's how you
again. What happens?
That's how you're gonna do it? Come on.
It would have been fine if they were miming, because they literally would have just been miming one thing the whole time.
Is that your sign language? Is that how sign language?
That's all the
works?
sign language I know.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So Ben, you brought up an interesting thing. So you said that while you were reading this, you were also reading the Histories by Herodotus, which is amazing, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's an awesome video.
Yeah, thank you. There was actually one thing kind of jumped out with Herodotus. Herodotus claims he went to Crete and he got a tour of the labyrinth from the priests at the Palace of Knossos on Crete. And Herodotus said that the labyrinth was a bigger wonder of the world than the pyramids. He thought it was more marvelous than even the pyramids, which I thought was really cool. Really kind of unusual, sort of jumped out at me. I know we're going off on some wild tangents here, but this book sucked. So
all the tangents. Give us all the tangents.
The book sucked, and the cover for a bad Frazetta cover to go with a bad book. I think Frazetta cranked this thing out in like 5 minutes. There's no background on it. It's just a bunch of colors slashed on it. Got a big booty lady with a diaper on it doing something. The climax. I was so mad at the climax. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. It's just this interminably dull book that had all this potential. Then you get the battle scene, and it's coming to the final climatic end, and then he faints, and then wakes up. And wait, what? Wait, what? Rewind.
No. It's so much buildup and so little payoff.
Yes. Yeah. So much potential. Just right down the.
Well, that's the thing, though. So you said you were reading Herodotus while you were reading this. Were there any like, as far as you can tell, or I should word it like this? I already said that I was super disappointed how he took these like mythological elements and grounded them in such a realistic way, where it was like, oh, all these myths are actually just about political movements that were going on in the ancient era, the ancient eras and whatnot. Since you were obviously like kind of steeped in that whole thing while you were reading the book, Ben, was that as disappointing to you as it was to me?
It was disappointing that he could have made something of it. There was, I mean, you can take the myth and then, ground it into something really cool that was real. You can, take out the Minotaur. There's no, real live Minotaur, but you still have the labyrinth, and you could have built something in that could have really worked in well with Theseus, Prince Theseus going over there, to save the Mycenaean tributes, the slaves that get sent over. And it just never materialized. I mean, he could have done something good with it and then failed to do so. I mean, there was so much there to work with, and he just does nothing with it. That was my biggest disappointment.
Yeah.
It's also, he never explained anything. If you don't know who those people are,
Oh yeah.
Nothing is ever like, oh, Theseus was the this of that. I don't know. It was just like, I don't know who these people are. I don't know where they're at. And then they call where they're from different names. They're not always called Atlanteans or whatever. It was so confusing.
The Keftu, I think they're calling them the Keftu. I looked that up. That's like an ancient term for Atlantis. It's really? Egyptian. It's the Egyptian term for Atlantis. That's what it was. So if you didn't know the Egyptian mythological version of Atlantis, you were just left, hanging in the breeze.
Figures. Yeah. So once again, much like when we did burial rites on your channel, Nick, I feel like
how dare you?
I feel like I think that your enjoyment will stem immeasurably from how familiar you are with like this era and like the mythology going on. But even then, like,
no,
we're at this point, even Ben is saying it sucks, and he was like steeping himself in this kind of history and mythology while he was reading it. So, yeah, this book just sucks all around.
This is one of the worst books I've ever read, for sure.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. Be honest.
I didn't think it was quite that bad. I mean, I didn't think it was that horrible, but it was just okay. It was just, everything was just okay. The whole, like, it wasn't like, oh, this book is bad, like, because the writing was okay. But it's just
it was
like the worst sin of a book is it's like okay. It's like
so he could write a sentence. What's the plot? Who are these people?
Yeah, right.
What era are they in? What is even happening?
For you,
That's
how does
bad,
it stack?
bad?
It is bad. I agree.
So for you, Nick, how does it stack up to
like,
Death World?
Like I've read like, oh, this book sucks. Like this book is like right out of the gate. Like it doesn't even fool you. You're like, no, there's no way. Like this book kind of almost makes you think like you might be okay. Like this book might turn around, and it's like, oh, gotcha.
In reference to that Frank Frazetta cover, Matthew G points out that's clearly the canvas he cleaned his brush on. Yeah,
that's what it looks
I
like.
like the background. I like how abstract it was. I thought it was kind of cool. It's not great, but I like the feel of it. It kind of encloses the whole scene. But yeah, this is not his best work, I'd say.
You missed earlier.
This Atlantis needs an abomination. Oh, yeah. I love that book. I enjoyed that book so much.
Frazetta did a redo of it. He repainted this cover a couple of years later.
You have to look that one up.
And it's much better. He takes the diaper off. There's no diaper. And he reposes the bowl, and then he takes the background. It's still an abstract background, so you're still in luck there, Jake. But he makes it at least a little more continuity to it. Makes it highlight the seam a little better. But yeah, I think Frazetta didn't like it. He's like, man, I've got to redo that one. I can't have that be associated with me for forever.
Mm. Virgil, Chris brings this up. We know how much you said you dislike The Gods Abide, but which one is worse, this or Gods Abide?
That's a good question. I will say I think The Gods Abide is worse, but it's more fun to talk about.
Okay, fair.
Because it's just like everyone. This all they talk about is how horny they are. Like that's it. It's just two people talking like, man, I really wish we could have sex. Like, oh, it would be so cool, wouldn't it? Like it's over and over. You're like at first you're like, okay, this is teenager talk, and then they just kept doing it, and it's like, what the hell is going on with this? I'm like, part two. So I guess that's worse, but I don't know. It doesn't be, but only because, but it is more entertaining to fun. So it's more fun to talk about.
Okay.
Whereas Dancer's just sort of like, oh, this and this, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, there's just nothing happening for the first 150 pages, and then
out of 200.
Yeah, and a tiny bit of action, and then Eric points out the reason that I bought this book, because it has as bad as that cover is, it's Frazetta, so I have to have it on the collection. But yeah,
a lot of listing going on too. He did a thing where he'd be like, "Hey, here's the list. Do now, and be like, okay." And then I don't know. So sometimes it felt like that was a little bit like filler. It felt kind of like overdone. But
was it, or was Paul showing off?
I don't know.
Look how much research I did.
I guess, but it was something like cow, chicken, dog, sheep, and you're like, okay, like it wasn't like really weird stuff. It's just like, yeah, I guess that's nice. I mean, that's another list.
There were, I don't know if you guys noticed, there were a lot of times where he had like fragments of sentences or phrases or stuff in parentheses.
Yes.
Where I don't think there needed to be parentheses, but
they were out of order. It looked like he would put in these clauses, and he had the clauses. To me, it seemed like the clauses were in the wrong order to make sense out of the sentence.
Yes. So
you had to sit there and take the clause and in your head move it to the front in order to understand what the heck he was saying in the sentence. Yeah. I forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that up.
I thought I marked one down, but I can't remember where it is.
Yeah, it definitely stops you a lot of times. You're kind of reading and you go, ugh. And you have to reread a section a couple times. Like, oh, I see what you say. That's a strange way to say that. Okay.
Yeah, that's the perfect description. It stopped. You're going along, you're flowing, and all of a sudden it's like, you just slammed on the brakes, and you got to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
About an hour and a half into the plane ride, I stopped stopping, and if I didn't understand it, I didn't care. I just kept plowing ahead because I'm like, this is not worth it.
You're correct. It wasn't.
Well, I was telling these guys I had to pause like 50 pages in and read an entire Western just to like cleanse my brain and get through the rest of it. So,
are you going to give us the Western review right here?
So no.
bring the review up.
Well, no, because the thing is, the Western that I read, it was one of the Edge novels, and it's just so dumb and violent. There's really not much to talk about, except for like the horrendously gory ways in which these characters die.
Oh, that sounds glorious. Oh.
This book could have used a little bit of that, honestly. But like if I did a review, it would just be me listing all the ways that characters died in hilarious ways. So
one of the characters from this Edge novel also got pulled back in time to the Dancer for Atlantis.
If that happened, I guarantee you.
Give us your short take of what would have happened.
I guarantee you the plot would have moved a lot faster for one thing. To be fair, if it was the main character Edge brought back in time, the other 3 time travelers would be dead, like immediately. They would have said something. He'd be like, "Excuse me," and whipped out his Winchester and just blam, blam, blam. So,
sounds amazing.
It was amazing, but it was so dumb. It was such a dumb book, but I loved it. But that's not what we're talking about.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a writing opportunity right there.
Yeah. But speaking of characters, was there anyone we really gravitated towards at all?
I just kept hoping the Hun would flip or something, kill someone, do something. When they're first can talk to each other and the boat shows up, they're like, "There's a boat coming." You're like, "Oh yeah, let's go." And then the boat just shows up and they're like, "Hi, how's it going?" And they're like, "Can you take us to this island?" "Yeah, sure."
You guys were
like, they might enslave us or all this. I was like, "No, how about you guys want to come along for a trip?" You know, come on, let's be fun.
I thought too, because they're like, "But you can't bring your horse." And I thought he was gonna flip. Then he's like, "No, you can't take my steed." Blah blah blah. And he's like, "No, sorry, you can't bring it on the ship." And he's like, "Okay,
that's understandable." Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, there was no
reason
conflict in this.
They
at
couldn't
all.
bring the horse on there. It was like bad luck or something, or
Yeah, something like that.
I forget the reason they gave, but
Like,
yeah.
please, I'll buy you a new horse when we get to wherever the heck we got.
That hasn't been trained for you to ride it or anything else. It has none of the training that this horse that you had. So it's like,
I somehow I get the feeling the only reason that little bit of that little moment was introduced to us was to let us know that, by the way, did you know that in this era of history you couldn't put saddles on horses and ride them because saddles hadn't been invented yet? Which, because they make a big deal about that. It's like he rides this horse instead of hitching it up to a chariot. And then he's building saddles for these ancient Greeks to put on their horses.
Why couldn't we have a minotaur? Why couldn't there be a minotaur in this? It's science fiction. We don't care. Give us at least a minotaur.
and isn't it a missed opportunity? The Hun could have like put a saddle on the bull. He could have rode a bull around. That could have been cool.
Or he's training to troop the cavalry, and that just disappeared. I was waiting for the cavalry.
Oh, yeah.
To Oleg's giant boat that he built to bring to Atlantis for some big battle, and it just disappears into the ether.
Never happens. And the thing is that Hun character, Olden, towards the end, we start to feel like, okay, maybe he might flip and like become a villain because he starts. What happens with this character? I can't even remember, guys. He does something, and he's holding the woman Orissa captive or something. I can't remember what happens.
They came to some deal. She was doing something that he didn't trust, and I didn't care by that point.
Yeah,
no,
like I don't care. But they had this deal going back and forth that they had to hold up.
She wanted a boat ride. Isn't that? She just wanted to ride over to Atlantis.
Yeah, I guess I can't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he was like, "What are you gonna do for me?" And she's like, "Okay."
Oh, right. Right. I forgot about that.
And it doesn't when they meet Duncan.
Jake's hand signals right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think when they meet Duncan, doesn't he like say that they've been sleeping together right away? It's like, we've been sleeping together.
That's right. He's like, oh yes, it's okay. I forgive you.
And it was like, okay. She's like, oh, and he's like, okay, whatever. I don't care. I'm interested in the younger version.
Well, I mean, as he said earlier, yeah, she's changed hands multiple times. The old version has changed hands.
Yeah, oh yeah. You don't want that.
Yeah. Oh my
She's only
God.
risking her life to save you, to
Right.
worship you.
She just did everything for you. Like,
These characters are awful. Oh my gosh.
There's zero conflict in this book. Like no
There-
one.
yeah.
It's all bureaucratic. It's like
Until there is.
you got a problem, and they're like, "Oh, I put a memo on your desk. You got to go to HR. Everybody, we're gonna talk this out." No one just is like, "Go." Even when they're like, "Oh, Duncan, you got to stay on this island now. You got to stay on Atlantis." He knows it's going down. He's just like, "Okay, I'll stay here."
But yeah,
This is
not,
the-
not
this is
even
the
locking him
nicest
up,
jail
just
I've
like,
ever been in.
but you can wander around and be free. Don't
Yeah.
leave.
behave.
Behave.
Oh.
Why did you think he was a god?
Well, we were talking about that a little bit ago, and it's like the only supernatural thing he showed off was the fact that he knows Atlantis is going to sink.
And he had a lighter.
He's got the watch.
Oh, that's what it was. It was the
Watch.
watch and the lighter. You're right.
Wouldn't that
Ancient Greeks are so enamored by timepieces.
So enamored. Yeah.
It was his New Balance shoes. They're like,
Why art thy shoes so white?
they have some grass stains on them still, but
Oh my god.
Poor Duncan Reed, the architect.
Oh wait, did the like the time travelers, didn't they do some sort of memory erasing? Is there some of that?
Yes, they do. They
So
say
I wonder
that
if they
all the-
erased part of her memory.
Did they?
I thought that she erased her own memory because she was like, "Oh, I'll take care of her. I know what to do."
Did she
Remember,
do
she
that?
does the
And she
hypnotism,
hypnotized.
so she erased the memory of herself.
Yeah,
Of
that's-
herself.
oh, wait. So she like implanted her own like weird fixation on him in herself. It's a little creepy.
But how does that work?
Yeah.
Because then she would have to have that to begin with. because then she has to go back in time and
Well,
do it
listen.
to her younger self.
No,
We're
she
not Poul
relearns
Anderson.
it. She
We
figures
can't be.
it
We're
out
not
as
that
it
level.
goes along.
Oh my gosh, this is so it's so unnecessarily confusing. I'm gonna be honest, this is why I usually don't read time travel stories, but then I picked this one up and I was like, oh, it's Poul Anderson. He'll probably make it fun. But
No, it's like I was saying, you already know that it's going to work out because she's standing right next to you.
yeah.
Oh, we got to get to Atlantis to save her. I wonder if they're going to do it, guys. Yeah, she's
Chris
standing
makes-
right here.
Chris makes an excellent point. Paul Anderson is making you do the writing for him. So we technically,
He's
yes,
so
we're
smart.
doing more work. We're doing more work than he did at this point. It's sad.
That's awesome. The ultimate trick. He's like, I'm not going to write this book. You are.
But it's a selling point though. It's like a choose your own adventure. You guys get to decide what makes sense and what doesn't.
Except, unlike Choose Your Own Adventure, when you flip to page 182, nothing happens.
Oh, it's unfortunate. Oh, we made Geeks Love Dogs Book Dragons feel bad. Wipe out shoes, feeling ashamed.
Oh,
They look good on you. We're just saying they probably don't look good on him.
Well, it means you're a god. I mean, if you're wearing them, you're doing all right.
You just got to go back in time 1,500 years and you're there.
Yeah.
That's all you need is a time machine, and you're done.
And then it'll be cool.
Liminal
Roller gear.
Spaces. Liminal Spaces has New Balance on it
Yeah,
too,
he does.
but
There you go.
For
You're
some
not
reason, I can't picture Chris wearing shoes. But if I really think, I can't actually picture him having legs or feet. Just the same material that's on whatever his hair and beard is, just like from the waist down, just and floats around in some kind of ethereal. ghostly.
everywhere.
Oh, I don't know what it is. Something liminal.
We did not need to know that, Levi.
I got my
Not need
bank
to know that.
balance shoes bare feet.
What
Right,
else?
is that it? Is that it, Tim? Is that the dancer?
I'm trying to think of. I mean, we're an hour in. I'm trying to think of what else we could possibly salvage.
I'll throw one more thing in there. I think those old authors. I don't know if I get this on here. This is an L. Sprague de Camp book, Great Cities of the Ancient World. So I mean, these guys, they were seriously into their ancient history. Poul Anderson, L. Sprague de Camp, Lynn Carter, all those guys. I mean, they were into it. I mean, he went around L. Sprague de Camp went around touring these ancient sites, and to me, this was just like a gratuitous self-indulgent book for him to write about ancient Greece and for him to bring it to life. And he forgot that he has an audience to entertain on top of this book. And so he did his little backdrop to please himself and forgot to bring in the entertainment value to it. And then when he did finally bring the entertainment value in, it's like he just thought, I'm bored. And he just cut it off right at the end. Right as the two ships are ready to collide, the one's on fire, everybody's going to die. Fade to black. What? Are you serious? I've been reading 200 pages to get to this, and it fade to black.
He was writing that paragraph, and then he thought to himself, "Oh wait, things are getting interesting." Anyway,
Yeah, it was almost like a spoof on the audience. And gotcha.
you know what it was? It was the ending scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where the police show up right before the battle and stop everybody from fighting.
Well, the time police did show up. They put
It's
it into
true,
that.
yeah.
Like, you guys are starting to have fun. Nope, that's not written in here.
Yeah.
Out.
I love how mad you are, Ben. We were worried. Tim was like, he's going to be polite. You know how Grammaticus is. He's going to say, like, this just isn't for me. And you'll say some positive things. You get on here, you're shooting your face and saying it sucks. Oh, God, I love it.
And I like the first book you guys, the one I did with you guys before was a Morbid Taste for Bones. I mean, that book knocked it out of the park. I know I'm in the minority on that one, but that was a fantastic book. And I'm like, oh man, Tim's got another good one.
Yeah, Morbid Taste for
sorry.
Bones was much better than this. Much better.
Much better.
Loved it.
I feel Virgil, Ben, I feel bad. When I started reading this, I texted Jake and Nick and I was like, hey guys, just so you know, I'm halfway through this book and I'm sorry. I should have emailed you guys the same thing.
Yeah,
That's exactly how the Gods of Fire review went for Chris and I. It was exactly how it went. It was like, ooh, what do you think? Oh, I don't know.
I swear that I don't know how our next book is gonna go, but we need to start reading good books again on this show.
So how did you decide on this book? What was there any particular reason you gravitated towards this?
It was very simple. I've had this book for a while, and I was like, oh, we haven't read a Poul Anderson on the show before. Hey guys, this one's really easy to find, and they picked up copies, and that was it.
That's usually how we pick it, as if it's cheap, because everyone's got to buy it. You can't be like, here's this $25 book, everybody go buy it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Except for Jake, when it's usually he usually goes, hey guys, I have a crazy idea. You know this book with a horrible cover that no one's ever heard of before?
No, to be fair, I have sent you guys books before to review.
The Atlantic Abomination.
Okay, so one, the cheap one.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no, you picked Texas Israeli War. That was good. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've picked good books. We can't.
I'm sorry. It's just so easy to pick on you at this point. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm jet lagged and still very nauseous, so I'm an easy target. So get him in now. My wit is dulled. Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry I put so much on your plate. But that said, let's stop talking about Dancer from Atlantis. Let's talk about what we've been reading lately besides this book. Guys, what have you been reading lately? Virgil, we'll start with you. What else have you been reading besides this horrible book?
Okay. Well, I'm almost done with Michael Shea's Niftaline, which is really good. Almost done with that. Maybe in the last 10, 15 pages. So I'll probably finish that tonight. And then reading Peter Hamilton's, I just forgot the title. It's a big book. I'll tell you that much. Pandora's Star, which is this big sweeping space opera, like super, like tons of characters, tons of stuff going on. So that's pretty cool.
When was that written? What's the year on that Pandora's Star there, Virgil?
Pandora's Star. I want to say 90s, but I could be wrong. Let's see. 2004 is what it's saying.
Oh wow. Okay. So right around oh crap, it just went right on my head. The Expanse, right around that time.
Okay. Yeah, this is I mean, I've read this. There's two parts. This one and another book just this big.
Gosh.
Wow. Jeez.
Which is really one big story. And it's like, it's not just, it's like almost like tons of world building, tons of weird alien stuff, tons of like so many characters, like tons of characters, and all the plots are interweaving. It's really interesting, but it's complicated. Kind of reminds me of like, I mean, it's not the best thing to say, but it kind of reminds me of like the first Mass Effect game, if that makes sense. It kind of like all the weird alien cultures and stuff like that kind of has some of that, but also kind of has like some like lower tech sci-fi stuff mixed in too. So it's not like Star Wars or Star Trek. The tech level is much lower than that. But there's like alien elves who can like walk through like portals to other planets through the forest. They can just walk into the forest and go to another planet or something. And aliens who are addicted to human memories, like drugs, and it's all like these weird, and like there's like this murder, and this detective is going to this alien to like read this guy's memories so she can find out like who killed this person or whatever. So it's all these weird plots. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Talked too long, didn't I?
Don't tell me about Finn.
Although Mass Effect doesn't just have some of the best world building in video games, it has some of the best world building, period. I think it's awesome.
love Mass Effect.
I never got around to those games. I've heard so many good things about
like them.
Yeah. The first and the second one is a tone change. The first one is kind of Star Trek-ish. and then it becomes a little more pulpy when it gets to 2.
Yeah.
But they're both good for
I
sure.
just know people hate number 3.
That's the one I own.
Oh.
I don't like it.
Yeah, they didn't end it well. They kind of ruined it.
Okay. Gotcha.
Nick, what's your favorite Mass Effect game?
I like Super Contra. Have you guys played that?
Of course we have.
Dude. Super C.
You guys see they remastered Oblivion?
Yes.
Gosh. So
That's good.
Yeah.
if I had a PS5 right now, or like a PC that I could play it on, you guys would not be seeing me right now. Like I would have postponed everything.
That's why I won't buy it. I'll just play it. That way.
Modded Oblivion, Vanilla Oblivion out of the box was a really good game. Modded Oblivion is the best game ever created.
I love it. So good.
Because here's the thing: I never played it when it came out. I played Skyrim, got addicted to Skyrim. I spent age 16, like that whole year, just playing Skyrim. Like homework and Skyrim were the two things that I did at age 16. And so when I got my fill of that, I tried playing Oblivion and was like, this game's wonky. And so I just came back to it a little bit ago when I got like a used copy off the internet. And it's wonky, but I need to like get used to it again because there's kind of like a learning curve if you're going back to it from Skyrim.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like seriously, if I had access to the remastered edition, which looks amazing, yeah, I would not be on this live stream right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, the gameplay is okay, but the actual like world and what you can do and the stories and all that stuff are just like you just lose yourself. You're like, it just explore forever and ever. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I'm like, what was the plot?
Oh yeah, I stopped doing the main plot line of Oblivion. Just forget it. The side quests are more fun than the main.
But you get to meet Sean Bean.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So, what are you reading, Tim? What do you got on your plate?
Oh my gosh! Well, first of all, Steve Donahue's in the chat. Nowhere. My church ground says video games lead to Satan worship, which would certainly explain this. Look, you can't just be throwing out accusations like that.
Right.
That's messed up. I mean,
the other way around.
Yes. Yeah, there we go.
Wait, Satan worship leads to video games?
Yeah.
I think Steve's mad at me.
Why? What'd you do?
Oh, I called him the Dark Lord of BookTube.
Oh, that's right, you did.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't respond back. I'll stop, Steve. I'll quit.
From his tower of Barad-dûr. Yeah, so right now I'm halfway through Eric John Stark, Outlaw of Mars by Lee Brackett. First Lee Brackett thing I've ever read, and I'm loving it. It's Conan the Barbarian in space. It's
nice.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. As soon as I finish this, I might go online and find the Scathe trilogy, which is the 3 Eric John Stark novels that she wrote in the 70s. And they're kind of sequel-ish to this one. So I'm excited about that. After that, gonna be reading another Redwall because I have to.
What number are you on? This aren't there?
This is gonna be number 6, I believe.
How many are there?
22. Yeah.
Oh.
Why are there so many?
By the way, Richard points out Brackett should be an EEBS read. Absolutely. You know what? If I get a hold, we should do Ginger Star.
Hey, Richard's here too from Vintage SF. Just checked in.
Yeah.
Richard.
Yeah, so we should do a bracket for an EEBS read. We definitely should. You know what? Either we should do at some point we should either do one of her Scathe novels, or we should do Sword of Rhiannon, which I have a copy of. I hear that's really good.
That one.
That was on the other side of the Conan, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. The other side of my Conan the Conqueror ace.
My Conan the Conqueror.
Do you have one as well?
You said yours. It's only on yours. It's only on the other side of yours.
I didn't know you had copies. Sorry. Whatever.
Look at what Levi just put in the chat.
No, I would not make them read the Redwall. Okay. Look, here's the thing. I knew that when I decided to read this ridiculous 22-volume young adult fantasy series, it was just going to be a me thing, okay? No one else is going to want to get involved in this. Those books are, as much as I love them, they are super formulaic, super simple. And even now, I'm trying to like plan out the review for book 5, which I finished just a little bit ago. And they're already like running together in my brain. I'm getting character names mixed up. I'm getting plot lines mixed up. And the thing was, I really liked this last book that I read, but it's going to be hard to review because I'm getting it confused with elements from the last 4 books in the series.
Now, I've asked you this before. I think I've asked you this before. Have you read Mouse Guard?
No, I need to. I really need to, because when the graphic, like the physical graphic novel editions first came out, I saw them in bookstores all over the place. I was like, that looks like Redwall. I should check that out. And I never did. And now they're harder and harder to find. So,
They are. Yeah. He stopped making them. I think he had some health issues.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. Steve, there can be only one. We're going to sorts the EEBS group to the EEBS guys and have them run around New York trying to chop their heads off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. You guys can have it. I'm gonna go sit down.
You could throw copies of Dancer from Atlantis like the star from Cole. Like,
Yeah, the glaive.
So what are you doing next there, Jake? What you got on your plate?
I just full screen me, Tim. I just finished The Secret People, and there's a Frazetta cover. Tim, I'm too small. Tim, make it bigger.
Is Tim frozen or is he
Tim's
oh,
frozen?
he froze.
He locked up.
Look at that.
He got snatched up by the aliens.
Review coming for this out this week. I started on the plane. Oh, he's totally gone. Hey,
Are
wait
we
a minute.
still on?
How's the stream still going?
No,
if
he's
he's
still-
gone?
I think he tried to make you big and wiped himself off.
There can be only one.
Are we still live?
Are you guys
Yeah.
still watching?
We're
How's that
counting.
even possible? If he's hosting the stream and he leaves and we're still going,
Transmitting
miracle.
directly to ancient
I could
Atlantis.
text him. Who needs him?
Can you speak ancient Cretan now? Gotta.
That's right. Put on your helmets.
Yeah, it's still live.
So
Okay.
back to your book.
Oh, is he texting? The power just went out in his neighborhood. Oh,
Oh
no.
no!
How are we still going?
I don't know.
Oh,
But here's the thing. How do we end it?
Yeah.
We can't end it till the power comes back. Oh, that's hilarious.
More travelers.
It's
I
just
have a
gonna be.
question. Can we highlight comments ourselves, or can only Tim?
I don't
Only
know.
Try.
I know you can make a second. You can make a second person a co-host, which maybe we need to start doing that, just in case this. He should be able to log on his phone though, because he typically uses his phone, right?
I don't know. He can't hear us. I'll
Well,
tell him.
we're gonna keep going forever. Then this is gonna be the longest live stream ever. On the way back, I started The Unholy City by Charles F. Finney. Hold on a second.
Oh, cool.
I bought this book twice at the same store because it was so cool, and I didn't realize at the time. And Charles G. Finney, he's the author, or this author, he's the great grandson of the old revival preacher Charles Finney, which I have a few books by Charles Finney. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. I couldn't. I DNF'd it. So it's awful.
Oh,
All right.
so-
Good reading.
How far did you
visually
get?
bad. I got about 40 or 50 pages in, and I'm like, I can't do it. It's nonsensical, kind of in the way that like Hitchhiker's Guide is, that the nonsensical humor, but just so much dumber, and just it was so bad. I hated it.
I missed it. I was texting Tim. What are you talking about?
The Unholy City.
Oh yeah, I have that. Okay, and it's terrible.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Like, yeah, to the point that I'm like on an airplane with nothing else to do, and I stopped reading it.
What's the back blurb on that say?
It sounds good. long out of print, The Unholy City is one of the most remarkable novels of fantastic adventure ever written. The nightmare city of Halar Way, with its ghoulish pleasures, its zany riots, and a giant tiger ravening in its streets. It is not a nice place to visit, but it's a delight to read about. I don't know. Yeah, it's so stupid. But then we also, for the next EEBS, we have The Reassembled Man by Herbert D. Castle.
You can't show that on Tim's channel. Cover it up.
Ah, look at that, Tim. Ha! No. And demonetized. But that's this was selected. So speaking of quality, this one's not on us if it's bad, because this was selected by Deb from the Omnivorous Reader. She's going to be joining us for the next EEBS, and we're also having Jeff from Jeff's Cave of Cool Books. He's a newer channel. He's pretty cool. And so that's going to be, I think that's this Saturday, right? Is that right, Nick?
No, it's the 31st.
The 31st. Yeah. So that'll be the 31st. Oh, Tim's texting me. Yeah. This is a leap. I just said we could probably all read Dancer from Atlantis by the time Tim gets back.
Read it again.
Wait, guests can pick the books? Chris said. The reason, Chris, that I let Deb pick this one is because we tried so hard to get her on, what's the other one I did? The Parasaurians.
Mm-hmm.
But after we announced it, that book sold out everywhere. The internet dried up, and then we can only find like a hardcover first edition that was going for like $300, and like the paperbacks that we all picked up were going for like $50 and $60.
Dang.
And I was like, Deb, don't spend that much for it. We don't even know if it's good or not. And so she looked everywhere for a couple weeks in her local area, and she's like, I can't find it anywhere. I'm like, please don't spend $50 on this book. That might not be that good, and it wasn't really that good. And so I told her, you get to pick next time. And then she's like, well, these are the ones I got at a recent haul that I haven't read yet. So I was like, well, let's go with the absurdist cover of but this is not the cover she had is not this one. That's just which is a Frazetta, and it's well done, but it's just a bunch of naked ladies. The one she had was the one I kind of used the thumbnail, which I would have had now if I wasn't just getting off of an airplane. So that's the reason why Richard just said, Deb can have my copy now
of the Parasaurians.
It was okay. It was a heck of a lot better than what we just read.
For real.
Yeah.
I think this was worse than Death Row 2 in a different way.
Okay.
Yeah, very different.
Death Row 2 was insulting, but at least I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
It kind of had a purpose.
Nick, have you cracked that weird Tales with the Drell of Jory in it?
I did not. I haven't opened it yet.
Oh, it has a Drell Jory in it?
Yeah. Like an original Drell Jory story.
Yeah. It's I think it's the magic one. Oh.
It's trying.
Back from Atlantis.
Oh, yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
He's on the cruise ship.
Okay. I got sucked up by the vortex. Yeah.
Back from ancient Egypt.
It literally looks like you're in somebody like Tim's in the house with you.
The power.
He's calling from upstairs.
He's calling from the
I don't know. So, oh my gosh, you guys, I can barely hear any of you. That's not good. Oh no.
It's all right. We just.
Oh no, everybody's buffering.
We're gone.
We're all buffering. It's not us. The problem is
oh gosh. Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Can you hear us?
Oh, no.
It takes longer for sound to travel back.
Oh no.
See, just so everybody knows, what is happening right now was far more exciting than Dancer from Atlantis.
Right. It's all staged.
He looked like one of the floating heads off of that series of
books. The laser book heads.
Snap that and put it on the next one in the series.
Tim just went into a quantum leap. He's leaping to another body right now.
Yes, nice quantum leap reference, Virgil.
Really?
Jake, use your sign language to communicate with Tim.
But I only know that one word.
That's all you need.
Tim.
I only know one word in sign language.
Man, we're stuck here, huh?
We're stuck. Yeah, we can't leave. We're wrapping it up too. Well, Ben, what are you reading? Did we get to that?
So I just finished this. Stars My Destination by Alfred Bester.
Oh, it's so good.
I have thoughts. So I mean, this book has a ton of praise, just a ton of praise. So I wanted to check it out. I'll probably have a video up on it, I don't know, maybe Thursday. And then what I'm currently reading is The Lost Valley of Iskander by Robert E. Howard, which is, it's good. I'm enjoying it. But the weird thing is it's attributed to Robert E. Howard, but it was published after his death. And in the introduction calls it an unfinished manuscript. I'm like, well, who finished it? And what does that mean? Was it just like an outline that somebody completely fleshed out? Or did it just need the last chapter put into it? So I reached out to the all-knowing person for Robert E. Howard, Michael K. Vaughan, and I asked him if he could, shed some insight or some light on, how this thing got finished. But it's fun. I'm about that far through it right now. It's a nice quick read. So that's what I got going.
So Chris from Liminal Spaces says in the chat, Star Trek or Star Wars?
Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek.
I say Star Trek. As far as movies, the original Star Wars, the first two, New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, I'm a Trek guy.
Yeah.
Depends on which Trek. I mean, there's so many Treks, and speaking of Star Trek,
somebody's beaming in.
I wish we had the sound.
Really?
I need more power, Scotty. I need more power.
That was awesome, Virgil. What was the guy in Next Generation with the curly hair that was also in Star Wars?
Oh,
He had an Irish name.
yeah. I can't
Brian.
remember his name.
Beautiful
Brian.
Brian.
Yeah.
I just watched Star Trek Picard, the last season. The first two are unwatchable.
Star Trek season 3 is legitimately great.
That was good.
Yes,
That was really good.
Oh, good to hear.
Yeah.
yeah. It's because they. I think it's. Oh, I forget the. It's one of the writer was one of the writers from the Kurtzman. No, not Kurtzman. Not Alex Kurtzman did not touch it.
Yeah, he left. He stepped out. That's why it got good.
Exactly. And so they basically scrapped season 1 and 2 and said then they retconned a bunch of stuff. They totally ignored a bunch of the stupid decisions they made, straight up ignored them and cut out